Sports Professor Rick Horrow inside the $1.3 trillion business of sports, and you are on the record. A unique podcast, at least I hope so, that talks about the past 50 years, COVID, and the next 50 years of the sports business, where it's been, what the challenges were, and where it's going. And it started really 50 years ago. This is the first Miami Dolphin ticket ever for the old Miami Dolphins over 50 years ago. Less than $5 for this ticket. Average NFL revenues, less than $4 million at the time. If you're a baseball player, you're going to make about $26,000 at that time. And then George Steinbrenner sets the stage by buying the New York Yankees 50 years ago, $10 million. About 50 years after that, the industry was worth $1.3 trillion a year. Highly visible, highly controversial, and an industry worth watching. But yet, on March 11, 2020, the whole thing changes. Rudy Gobert tests positive for COVID, playing for the Jazz in Oklahoma City. Tire industry shuts down, losing $12 billion a week. How are you ever going to come back? Resilience, it did come back. And the roaring 20s in the 1900s, Yankee Stadium and otherwise, Spanish flu recovery gave way to a bigger and wider-ranging scale of recovery from COVID 100 years later. And look, the Yankees, obviously, $9-10 billion. Imagine Steinbrenner for $9-10 million. Steve Ross turns down an offer to buy the Miami Dolphins for $10 billion. Television revenues of the NFL, cumulative contracts, nearly $200 billion. NIL, nobody even knew what that was, now over $3 billion a year. And when you think about all of the numbers, it's a success after COVID because of three factors. One, survival of the fittest, uniqueness. Second of all, creativity in the context of taking the next step and standing out. And third, collaboration, cooperation, best practices. You put all of them together and you look at the next 50 years. Big challenges, Web 3.0, globalization. We're scared of AI. What are we going to do with it? NIL. Get the toothpaste back in the tube, for the metaphor. What about conference realignment? What about the franchise free agency, team free agency, player free agency, stadium development? All of that stuff, we need some defining and guiding moments. Well, luckily, this podcast can give you some of that perspective with some unparalleled cooperation with the Falk Institute of Sports at Syracuse University and the UNLV Global Sports Innovation Institute as well, along with the partnership that they had sponsoring the CCON Development Conference with USA Today. Came back from the conference, had some interesting perspective. The content is great, but the podcast will hopefully take some of the issues that have been raised by these partners and take them to the next level with some interviews that I hope you're going to like. And the bottom line is, hopefully you'll have a good time, and you may even learn something in the process. So sit, don't go anywhere. Every week, we will theme it around major events and a mega interview, and hopefully you'll be entertained and you might even learn something. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, and you're on the record.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow on the record, a special, you could call it a WNBA playoff edition, but it's more than that. We're celebrating women's sports, pioneering in women's sports, and every combination of that. Nancy Lieberman, often referred to as Lady Magic, trailblazer, her basketball life, became the youngest basketball player to win an Olympic medal when she secured a silver with the U.S. 76 team at just 18 years old. She attended ODU, where she led the team to 2 consecutive national championships in 79 and 80. She was the first woman to play in a men's professional basketball league, joining the USBL in 1986. She also played in the inaugural season of the WNBA for the Phoenix Mercury at the age of 39, making her the oldest player in the league. How about that? Coaching career, significant, obviously, securing the head coaching general manager, WNBA Detroit Shock, 1998-2000. Assistant coach in the NBA, Sacramento Kings, and obviously elected to the Naismith College and Pro Basketball Hall of Fame in 1996, and everything in between. We have a lot to cover today, but the most important thing we're doing is honoring the women's basketball pioneer and sports business pioneer, Nancy Lieberman. CCON's event in July, she was a star. We had a chance to catch up with her there, and more now. Sports Professor Rick Horrow with Nancy Lieberman. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, inside the $1.3 trillion business of sports. We have icons from time to time, but there's no doubt this is the classic icon, not just women's sports, women's philanthropy, athletic pioneerism, social justice. I don't know if all of those words work. They certainly fit. Nancy Lieberman, a hero.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. So, day job, coach in Big Three. Talk a little bit about the Big Three and where it's been, where it's going.
Well, I'm overly excited about the Big Three. This is our 7th season. My boss is Ice Cube. And he's not only iconic in everything he does, but for him to create a league, I didn't know Abner Doubleday. I didn't know, some of the people that started other leagues, but he's great. And our league is one of the top rated on CBS. We're getting 7 to 8 million streams on X when they cover the games. And it's fun because the other coaches in the league are all Hall of Famers. Dr. J, George Gervin, Michael Cooper, Rick Barry, Reg Mahorn, everybody. It's fun.
It's also competitive. You want to beat the hell out of them, don't you?
Oh, it's competitive. This is grown, as we say, these are grown-ass men.
Yeah.
And
well, grown-ass people, right.
Yes, but they've played the NBA. They've played all over the world. And it's very competitive. There's a lot of money on the plate to win, and we play in all the big NBA arenas, so it's been fantastic.
I'll bet you a lot of people don't know, because it's only been one Olympics, that 3-on-3 is an Olympic event, and I'm sure it's going to be a big deal in Paris and coming out of Paris.
It is. Ice Cube beat everybody to Big Three. He beat the NBA to Big Three. He beat FIBA, Federation of International Basketball, the NCAA, and now it's a big thing. And before that, years ago, there was Hoop It Up, and Hoop It Up was worldwide. It's exactly what basketball is 3-on-3, 3 on one side, 2 on the other, and it's strategic, and it's the essence of how you play basketball.
And it's also grassroots oriented. I mean, you guys are in touch, know that, just watching and being part of the industry. You guys are in touch with the fans and what makes people tick more than anything else is, basically.
Well, the fans that watch 3-on-3, everybody has played 3-on-3 if you played basketball. Yeah. So they understand it. There's a connection to it. And it's just really fun to be able to play this at the highest level and coach some of the great players that have played in the NBA.
How about as a coach? If you I'll just watching the Summer League, I'll just say it this way, as a fan who tells it like it is also. If you see people dogging it, you can hide it a little bit on 5-on-5. If you see somebody dogging it with you, you're going to get chewed out by you, aren't you?
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you're right. You can't hide on 3-on-3. Every play is physical. It's a smaller space. But that's where there's EQ and IQ, and this is where your intellectual intelligence and your skill and will come in. Because we played at 50 points, 25 points is halftime. So it's a lot of fun. I love playing in the NBA. I love coaching in the NBA because I was with the Sacramento Kings as an assistant. And this is my 6th year in this league, and I love it.
So we'll talk about pioneerism in a minute, but let's talk about your charity so we make sure we have enough time for this. Let me know about your charity. What are you doing now? Where's it going?
Well, Nancy Lieberman Charities has been around for a long time. We've raised over $11 million cold, hard cash, and we give it to the Black, Brown, and Latino communities. We sent 100 high school seniors to college. We track them. We just don't pay for their tuition. We stay with them, and we have graduating classes, and we help them, especially bridge them to areas of interest that they'd like to work. Then, we help them with mentorship. We have racial social justice lecture series at HBCUs. We've now built 129 dream courts, which are outdoor parks. We call them communiversities because we have STEM, financial literacy, kids and cops, civic engagement, and career readiness. and we have over 5.5 million children a year on these courts. So we're really doing a lot, in underserved areas to build the confidence, the self-esteem, and just to give them, some of the tools they need to be successful.
It's too bad. It's a lot of work, but you're going to have to memorize a whole new set of numbers next year because the 5.5 is going to be a lot higher. The number of city, but it's a good thing. You're growing amazingly. Right.
We're growing, but the amazing thing is there's so many people who want to help and who care about people that don't have. Everybody has their own unique situation. I understand what it's like to be in an underserved environment because that's how I grew up. Yeah. But I'm not a victim. I'm a victor. And now I, with the help of so many people, can help raise money and put young people in places so they can flourish and they have the confidence in the belief system that they can be something.
A couple more, respectful of your schedule. I know you're pretty busy, but you watch the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. You look at the numbers proliferate. Is there a part of you that says, I wish I was born 30 years later, or you wish these people were born 30 years ago so you could see what you were going through? What's your reaction?
My reaction is there's never been a day that I've been jealous or envious of the players in the WNBA. When you're, as people call me, a trailblazer or a pioneer, you accept where you are. I've had a great life. It's 2024, and I'm at the top of what I do. And my job is to make sure that I celebrate and not tolerate today's athletes. I'm thrilled for them. I want them all to be multimillionaires. They're paid role models. I was an unpaid pioneer or an unpaid Olympian. But for me right now, to be able to see what they're doing and what they have and how the game has gone and the financial, benefits that they're getting. Now, if I had one thing, I would have loved to have played against the greatest players in the W in my prime. I didn't have my prime. I played at 39 and 50. Yeah. So that I was at the end of the diving board, but I loved it enough to compete.
You'd have dominated that damn diving board. You know that, right? Yes? No? Trash talk?
Right in the pool, right to the bottom, sinking.
Good answer. Final question. We're here, USA Today set, but we're here at CCON, Sports Entertainment Innovation Conference. Incredible first year, many all over the world, annual basis. What's your perspective after watching this thing for a couple days?
Well, first I want to thank my friend Sean Garrity for allowing me to be a part of such a significant event. Yeah. And it's a team. It's a partnership with the city, with UNLV, with Syracuse, with all the people that have given their time, expertise to share with, the hundreds of people who came here, to, create relationships, glean some knowledge. And it's been fun for us to be around each other. So I'm happy to be here, and I hope to come back in the future.
I think we can wrangle the invitation. Nancy Lieberman, not a true American hero, a true world hero. Honored to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow, speak with you soon. What a compelling interview with Nancy Lieberman. What a compelling individual. And now we look at the first five, what's happened in the last couple of weeks. And then next, as we normally do, what to look for in the next couple of weeks. Well, number one, what great timing, WNBA playoffs, the Rookie of the Year, AP, Caitlin Clark. WNBA's AP Player of the Year, Angel Reese. No, A'ja Wilson, obviously, 26.9 points a game. Angel, Caitlin, A'ja Wilson, all superstars, but now it's more important than ever because the AP bestows awards that actually have dollars attached to them and awareness more than ever before. 2.45 million viewers for the WNBA draft. The Clark Fever debut was big. Over 1.2 million viewers for an average game, one of the highest rated games in decades for the Fever debut. But the average was really important. 170% increase over last year, and the Ion channel, 123% increase. Now that we head to the playoffs, the sky is obviously the limit for that, and we have all of the folks to be thankful for not just women's sports, but the WNBA and everywhere in between. That's number one. Number two, the NFL raises its revenue head, not just for teams, but obviously players as well. So Sportico and others qualify and quantify the average franchise now nearly $6 billion, with about $150 million in profits on average. But here's the deal. The top stars are cashing in more than they ever have before. The 20 highest paid players will earn an estimated $1.1 billion this year on and off the field, up 29% from the same time last year. Who's number one? Dak Prescott in Dallas. He's estimating about $14 million from endorsements, and the first player to make $100 million in a calendar year. $86 million for his salary. His deals are very important, including the largest signing bonus in NFL history, but also Nike's Jordan brand, Lowe's, Beats, AT&T, Albertsons. Mahomes has built a staggering brand of his own. Boss, Oakley, State Farm, T-Mobile. He's also invested in the Kansas City Current, the Royals, Sporting KC, and others. And frankly, he is an entrepreneur's entrepreneur. Mahomes' estimated $27 million off the field includes a group licensing and marketing payout from the NFL Players Association. Then there's Travis Kelce, for example. His licensing income jumped 177% this year. General Mills, Lowe's, PepsiCo, and he hosts a game show, Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? Can't wait to see that one. $17 million this season. And he and his brother just signed a new deal with Wondery, Amazon's podcast production company, off the charts. Obviously, the NFL doing well. Its players doing well as well. Number two. Number three, the Big 12 finally getting a conference network created in conjunction with Raycom Sports. The channel are both on platforms like YouTube and television networks in the conference's total footprint. Brett Yarmark, the entrepreneurial and exceptional commissioner of the Big 12, talked about how his brand and this studio may be a little different. Less live games, more shoulder and other kind of programming. Look at the deals with the current conferences and networks. ACC, SEC network owned by ESPN. Big Ten network owned by Fox. Big 12 studios will air game replays, but unlike the Power 4 counterparts, won't have rights to any live sports. Yet everybody is watching to see what Brett Yarmark and others have up their sleeve. That's number three. And number four, the Players Union of Baseball sues DraftKings and FanDuel because they say that they're seeking compensatory and punitive damages from DraftKings and FanDuel and Britain's Bet365 because of, quote, flagrant violations of state laws prohibiting the right of publicity, saying nearly every active player's image appears on websites and mobile apps of these companies. And for professional athletes, and I'm quoting from the complaint, the ability to control the commercial use of the rights, images, and likenesses is a crucial return on their substantial career investment. In fact, the lawsuits were filed 3 weeks after the NFL Players Association did the same kind of thing. Their law firm is the same as the one that filed the baseball suit. The reason why the baseball one might be different is the core information is the key to the value of baseball games is said. The statistical data, not necessarily the images, so they're needed even less. And frankly, there's no reason why the gambling company should get them for free, so they say. Up to the lawyers, interesting legal battle. That's number four. Then finally, number five, Premier League sponsorship deals off the charts, up 12% to over $1.2 billion in 2024-25. New global data report says over 12% to $1.68 billion. The bottom line is the clothing and accessory categories, the travel and tourism sector, the financial services sector, and the $179 million on sponsorship deals from, you guessed it, betting organizations, and certainly the gambling organizations and the gambling industry accounts for 11% of 19 active Premier League kit deals, front of shirt deals. But as always in that league, the biggest clubs account for 74% of these big sponsorships. So the rich get rich and the richer get even richer. That's the top 5 in the last couple of weeks. In a minute, the top 5 going forward. What are we looking for in the next couple of weeks? Well, a few things. Nike's stock, number one, continues to go up. The new CEO change, Hill replaces Donahoe, and the issues may be a little bit different, but this is a case of personality driving the stock up. The $27 million on an annual basis plus incentives is the money that the new CEO is taking, Elliott Hill, to come back to Nike. Is that too much? Well, take a look at some of the athletes and you realize that that's a quarterback's salary, maybe half a year, half a season, but investors made their feelings on the executive switch very clear. After seeing the shares go up 9% after the shares were done, Nike shares closed at the end of last week at over $86. So when you think about the value of a CEO in an athletic company and you compare it to athletes, here's a good example. So that's what's coming up. Let's see, following Nike's footsteps, see where they go. Number 2, Rogers, see where it goes. Well, they get controlling stake in Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, buying a 37.5% stake owned by Bell. The value of the portfolio, $9.2 billion. And look at what the Rogers deal will have and the Rogers empire after the deal closes. The Blue Jays, the Maple Leafs, the Raptors, Toronto FC, the Argonauts CFL, Sportsnet, Rogers Center, naming rights to sports venues in Edmonton, Toronto, and Vancouver, national NHL media rights in Canada, local media rights to the Canucks, Flames, and Oilers, partial local media rights to the Maple Leafs and Raptors, several minor league expansion franchises, and Larry Tannenbaum, the MLSE chair, was just recently re-elected as the chair of the NBA Board of Governors. He gets part of the deal. He gets fair market value to Rangers and Raptors and Leafs pieces for the sports broadcaster TSN. It is a major deal that will ripple very significantly all across Canada. That's number 2. Number 3, kudos to the University of Oklahoma. A new arena for Oklahoma sports as part of the Rock Creek Entertainment District, $1.2 billion proposed development in North Norman. Joe Castiglione, the AD, probably sweated it out, a 5-4 vote by the city council at 1 in the morning. Bottom line is it will replace the 49-year-old Lloyd Noble Center, but it also includes shops, restaurants, office space, 24% of the availability for sports, 76% for concerts. OU, $100 million of it, $25 million up front, $75 million in rent and operations costs. The other $230 million, TIF, the tax increment dollars that are available. 8,000 seats but expandable, a big deal for the Oklahoma City region and a big deal for the University of Oklahoma. That's number 3. Number 4, former Bucks owner Mark Lazary nears the purchase of the NWSL Carolina Courage. And here's the real issue here. $108 million valuation from Steve Malik, and he was side by side with the Disney folks as they were looking at attempting to buy another team in the league, the Seattle Reign, with Willow Bay and Disney CEO Bob Iger. That didn't work. Now he's going to get Carolina. 40% shared by minority owners, including Naomi Osaka. The league getting bigger and bigger, and the franchise value is getting bigger and bigger. And we'll see where that goes, closing that deal, etc., in the next couple of weeks. And then finally, Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith, signs a deal with Red Bull. He tweets, "Off week, got my wings." Yeah, he did. One of the biggest NIL deals in the football season, an endorsement agreement that he's got. He already inked agreements with the NIL collectives, the Foundation and the 1870 Society, the primary collective for the Buckeyes. He has Reichart Automotive in Columbus as well. 343,000 social media viewers. He holds an NIL valuation with On3. The deal is about $1.1 million. The model, whether it's the broken student-athlete construct or media rights sharing through employment, almost a certainty in the near future. The valuation really high. Congratulations to him and all the future values of student-athletes. It's our show for today. We'd like to thank Nancy Lieberman for giving her valuable time, as well as all of the athletes who are striking a chord in the $1.3 trillion business. Like to thank Callie Kazire for putting this together with me and others. Thank you for listening and watching. Joining us next week when we look at the world of $1.3 trillion business sports again. Sports Professor Rick Horrow. Speak with you soon.